Hello, so can you disable refresh in Power BI? You have asked me that while building the FIFA report, and this is what we're going to talk about in today's video. Stay tuned. Okay, hello and welcome. This is Ruth Pozzolo from Curbal.com, and today we're going to talk about how refreshing things work in Power BI, at least some of the sources anyhow. So while building the Power BI report for the World Cup series, you have asked me if it is possible to disable refresh some of the sources. So I have been using importing data from local sources on my computer like Excel and CSV, and you wanted to know if it was possible to just disable that. And the thing is, it is possible, and I'm going to show you, but there is a lot of buts when it comes to refreshing things in Power BI. And some of them were new to me. There have been some changes in the service, and we're going to go through all of those. So we will talk about disable refresh in Power BI desktop, and then we will move into the service and see what happens there. So how about we get started? I'll see you at the end. Okay, so let's talk about refresh in Power BI desktop and refresh, schedule refresh in Power BI, the service. There are a few things I want to touch. The first thing we're going to do, we're going to go through a case, right? And what you see here, I have a Power BI file where I've downloaded some data from Google Analytics, and I publish it to Power BI. Nothing weird. So if we click on there, we go to the source, and click on my workspace, data sets. We're going to schedule refresh this report. We go to data source credentials, and Google Analytics is one of those sources where you can have a live connection. That means you don't need a gateway to refresh anything, as you can see. I do have a gateway installed, but this source doesn't require one. So to be able to schedule refresh, you don't need anything. Now, when I was working with the FIFA report, this report, so if we go to the sources, I downloaded data for the matches and the knockout matches, right? And one of you commented that, it would be great if we could disable the hard-coded paths, so I could refresh the data without actually having to have the original sources. We don't want to schedule refresh this, right? Because once we've downloaded the data, it won't change for the entire game. So if you right click here and disable this, including report refresh, it won't refresh. Let me show you in the other example. So we are here, right? We're going to upload a CSV file. And edit. So we go into Power Query. And if I leave it as it is and right click here, you see that it says including report refresh. That means that when I click on refresh button, it will refresh too. So let's go back in there. And then if I click refresh, you will see that both sources will refresh, which is perfectly fine. Now, if I go back and I disable this, look what happens. When I click refresh, it ignores data and just refresh report view, which was exactly what we wanted. Brilliant, right? So now you can actually get data from other people's computers and don't have to have the connection to their computer. If the data is imported, you'll get it and you can refresh. There is a huge but though. If we publish this to the service, I don't know if this is intentional or why this works that way. I would definitely tell Microsoft about it, give it some feedback, because maybe this is not the way it was intended to work. Or if it was, it would be great to know why. But if we publish this to Power BI, now we have both the Google Analytics source and we have the CSV source. We go to open test. Again, we go here to Power BI, we go to data sets and then we scroll to schedule refresh this thing. Look what happens. It says your data source can be refreshed because the credentials are invalid. That's true. I haven't told, how to refresh this. I'm guessing that it already detected my data, my gateway. So if I go here and, set it to anonymous, it will use the gateway and it will connect, but I don't want it to refresh. I said in Power BI desktop, don't refresh it. And I think that is a huge shortcoming. So this is one thing. Another thing is, let's go back to Power BI instead, desktop. So now, while working on this Power BI file, my intention is being that you will be able to download it and you will be able to, schedule refresh it and use it through the games. That was the idea. So what I did, you have a download file on my website. So when you go there and click on it, I have actually removed the connections to my computer. So this was a Excel file, and as you can see, I just imported the data. So if you go in here, the data is hard coded, and it's not, because I couldn't send it to powerbi.com and have it refreshed, even if I said you shouldn't refresh, then I just copied the data here, which it was perfectly fine. When it comes to players, there was too much data, so I could not paste it in here with this enter data. So I just published it to Google Docs, and I said, okay, now I have everything online resources I should be able to download. And look what happened. Let's go to Power BI. So here is my FIFA. It's been failing all day. It's been failing because I don't have my computer on all the time, obviously. So what this thing is doing, even if I only have web resources, is using the gateway, which is so annoying. And there are probably reasons why Chris Webb was telling me that maybe it was because you could hack into Power BI if you didn't have the gateway, to be able to, encrypt the connection. I have no idea. He pointed to this website, to Microsoft Docs, where it says which sources you can actually have a live connection or which ones you need a gateway. And this changed a few months ago. I was not aware of that, but you need a gateway to refresh web connections. Then Miguel Escobar mentioned that maybe, because I am using, let me show you, if we go up, I'm using web page. That is the one that requires the gateway. So if I use web content, then I will be able to schedule refresh without the gateway. But web context, then I had to go and dig into the HTML code, which I don't have the time to do it, unfortunately. So if you do it, please give me the code and I will update this for everybody. I just think it's such a shame that a gateway is needed for this. And also that if you said that a source should not be refreshed schedule, that it actually is anyhow. It's just a shame. Okay, so now you know and now I know. So if you want to refresh the Power BI file, you know what you have to do now, okay? Make sure that you have that gateway installed, or if you just use web contents and get the code, just give it to me and I'll update so it can schedule refresh. I don't have the time to do it. I'm sorry. I just need to get cracking on my actual work. So, but anyhow, I'll see you again on Wednesday. So take care until then. Have fun. Enjoy the World Cup series, and bye.